is Happy Dave, and we are doing a test at the moment. We're going to be using BMAD this morning. We'll probably be using POEM as well, the prompt orchestration and engineering method. And at the moment I haven't checked whether the live streamer has started. Let's just go over here and we'll run a content. We'll go to live. Looks like it's running here. This is the first live stream that I've done in a while. And we'll head over to Twitter, x.com. Should be running here as well. And where else do we want? LinkedIn. Let's just see what's going over on Twitter. Claude Skills Explained. Let's go over to profile. And looks like it's kicking in. Cool. And let's just, how the heck do you find these things? Okay, and there it is there. Okay, cool. We'll leave those all running and talk a little bit about what we're doing today. So I'm getting ready to start something called the agentic operating system. In fact, I'll show you how I'm going to do that. I've got a couple of computers coming in. So this current computer is a MacBook Pro M4. It's starting to run slow. I've got to rebuild it, and that's such a pain in the bum. So what I've got is this new Mac Mini M4, pretty much the same specification as the MacBook Pro. And I've also got a Mac M2. So the Mac M2 is probably going to become an open claw, which is Maltbot, CLAUDbot, whatever you want to call it. And I did get CLAUDbot working on this system a few weeks ago, but I'm going to start the agentic operating system as being running everything from the CLAUDing environment, which is Claude Code, Claude Cowork. It doesn't mean that it'll be exclusively Claude. I also work with Anti-Gravity, Gemini, Grok from x.com. There'll be some codecs going on, and everything will be run from the terminal. But today what we're doing is we're just solving some problems. So if I just jump over to here and just get a read of what we're doing. Oh yeah, there's a really cool new technique from Boris from Claude that I want to explore, but that's later today. So let's go and have a look at this area here. So POEM, the prompt orchestration and engineering method, is this idea of building agentic workflows using prompt engineering, and it's based off the BMAD method, which is a topic I talk about from time to time. And what I plan to do is have more flexible sort of workflows. So where BMAD is designed for agile software development, this will just be more for agentic SOPs, standard operating procedures. And one of the problems I've had this morning is that I've got about 9 epics in the POEM framework. So I'll just jump into this terminal here, and we got all these epics, and I need to shift them all. So I'm in the middle of epic 4, and epic 5 will be on the system agent, but I've just realized I'm missing 2 agents that I need now. And so I want to shift them all through. So I've just started this little document to just shift everything around. So let's just, and so what's the CLAUDing lab, by the way? So you're over in the CLAUDing lab. It's my original Happy Dave channel is now Happy Dave Research and now become CLAUDing lab. And that's just me using Claude on a daily basis. So these videos, these live streams is the true behind the scenes. It's just me usually pulling my hair out, trying to figure shit out. And sorry, this cough, I'll try to that little button from time to time, but this cough is 10 years old. It's a persistent issue that is challenging for me to work with. What's going on here? I just need to check. Let's just, thanks. I might just send him a link actually, since this is a Twitter feed now. How do I share this live stream? Picture in picture. Oh, there it is. No, that, gosh. There it is. Share, copy link. Let's send that over to here. And we might also send another one. We'll share this one. So we'll just come back to here and share this. Okay, let's get back to what we were talking about. So BMAD method is for building software, and I'm using it to build the Poem orchestration system, which is a workflow engine. And I'm also building an agentic operating system, which means that everything that gets done on the computer gets done agentically. That's the idea. And what we're going to do right now is move an epic. So 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 will move to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And epic 5 will be these two new prompt engineers that I need to build. So let's go down to BMAD, or let's go down to a Claude Code session, and let's have a read through what this has done. I've reviewed and the handover document for the epic renumbering task. We'll make sure we've got Poem in front of us so we can see what we're looking at from a Visual Studio point of view. Why did that pop up the terminal? Let's go and change that to secondary terminal, I guess. No, we want primary terminal. We want tertiary terminal. There it is, tertiary. And let's go and this is one of the other reasons why I got the new computer. Notice how I'm having a lot of problems here with showing the right application. And the reason this happens with the MacBook Pro is that, let's check we're looking at the right system. So support signal Poem prompt Poem. That's the one. That's what we want to show. So this is Poem. The reason this happens is that every time you disconnect a MacBook Pro, and I'm using streaming software, I'm using Ecamm Live, it reshifts the damn windows around. So then you waste time in a live stream trying to fix visual displays. But here's the situation we got. In our documentation folder, we should have a PRD, and there's an index to it. There's an epic list. So these are all the epics that are going on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we need to shift all this, but we need to shift a few different things. So let's just head over here and here, and I think we can just kick it off. New agents, right? Current agent count. The new ones are Alex and Oscar. So we've got the workflow architect and we've got the workflow orchestrator. We'll move down, execute the renumbering across all the documents. All the documents are actually in a little file. First, update my earlier response. Yeah, right. The handover. The handover is comprehensive. Okay, please execute on this. Okay, so that's going to start doing its work, at which point I can go back to what I was really doing with the Poem system. So where are we? We need to, so this is an implementation of Poem. So what we're trying to do is set up some workflow systems to test new incidents in a medical caregiving sort of application. So, and once these agents have been tested in this environment, they're going to go back into the POEM environment in the new epic that's being created. By the way, that's now in the middle of doing all of that changes. So this is just shifting all of our epics down one. I'm just going to head over to the VS Code for a second. Let's make this a little bit more readable. So these ones have been done. We're in the middle of Epic 4 where we're testing an automation workflow. Today we're testing a different one, not the YouTube one, but that's okay. Orchestration, build a conversational. So here we go. Here's is already changing the files. We can see that because they've gone orange. Let's look at the epic details as well. So let's close all that. Click on here. Oh, come on. Click on that. And let's see what it's putting in for Epic 5. So these are all the stories that we've been working through. Oh, it's quite a document, isn't it? Okay, create Alex, the workflow architect. That's in 5.1. 5.2 is Oscar, the workflow orchestrator. So these haven't been created. This is just the epic details. So it's the basic idea of what it's going to do. Human in the loop checkpoint infrastructure. Implement conditional routing in workflows. That's pretty cool. It's figured out a lot of stuff. Build the. Now this used to be Epic 5, this system agent. So now he's moved to Epic 6, and by the time we get to the bottom, is it still working through files? Let's just jump down here. What document are you working? Yeah, D6. Yeah, it's still shifting stuff around. Okay. We'll keep going. Let's move on to the next problem of the day. Right. Okay. Okay. So Penny created. Alex will create the workflow. Have you made changes to the CLAUDMD yet? Related to Alex and Oscar? So Alex and Oscar have been, basic versions of them have been created. I haven't read them. It's not a case of reading them. It's just giving them intent and they should get created. What I want to do is test how they might work, and we're going to need another terminal for that. But for that terminal to know about Alex and Oscar, we need to update our CLAUDMD. So Victor has been shifted around. Oscar and Alex have been added into my CLAUDMD. Can you just do a review of the CLAUDMD generally and just see if there's anything that you feel should be improved on it? This next statement that I just ran probably isn't needed, but we made some changes. I haven't looked at it for a while, so I just want to find out if there's anything about the CLAUDMD that needs improving. So we'll go and start a new Claude window. We're going to ask the question, what agents do we have available? And because we've added a couple to the CLAUDMD, we should have new ones. What agents do we have available? That was me articulating and I guess elocution, I don't know. What the fuck? Okay, so that's happened. Let's just see what it thinks. I found several areas needing updating. Cool, because I've been putting workflows into subfolders, so that needed to be shifted. I'm glad I did this now. Now we've got a summary of our agents. We've added Alex and Oscar. We've got a session update date. Yes, make the corrections. No, she can just press tab. By the way, the audio has probably got a lot of background noise. I've got to get some software. I'll probably use Crisp AI to solve that problem, but this computer is lagging, so I don't want to play around with adding more to it just yet. So notice that when we start a new Claude instance, we've got those two agents now available. We've got the workflow used to design. Okay. We've now got a plane going overhead. I think what we'll do is we'll go down to a different VS Code, and I'm gonna have to shift this so that it just focuses on a particular region rather than a particular window. So what do we want? We want the prompt support signal this time. That's that one. Okay. So the first thing I think I will do is I'm just going to do a commit because we got too much green and orange going on over here. So a whole lot of changes have been made. I'm just gonna make sure that this is all pushed in. There's, you can't see them, but there's 3 files down the bottom. These are some session goals. So I've got these goal documents so that as I make changes to Alex and Oscar, and I have these problems that I work through, so the agent definitions, we've got the session goals, we've got the prompt engineering challenges, we're documenting it all because it's all good to go and create a new Epic 5 to implement agents, but I'm going to use them in the real world first, and then I'm going to build them properly, and these documents are going to help me with that. So let's just see where we're at on a couple of things. Has all the coding changes been done? Perfect. The Epic renumbering has been completed successfully. These were the files that were changed. Let's just move this a bit, give us more room. 5 became 6. And the orchestration agents came in. I'm going to kick in an agent called Lisa. She's my librarian. Oh. Oh, that's a little bit confusing. You know what I did? It hasn't caused a problem, but it is problematic. I did the work in the wrong folder. So you can see down the bottom that this is in prompt.support signal. This is the folder where I actually am testing the prompt engineering, but this is not the POEM framework. And so this was all about doing it in the POEM framework. So let's just ask a question and say, I just noticed that this conversation was running in the wrong folder. We'll paste that in. And I thought I'd done it from a window that was correct. That's the folder we want. PWDC, exit, come back to here. Notice how slow it's going at the moment. This computer needs to be rebuilt. It should have been done into this folder. Now, I noticed that all the file changes did seem to happen in this folder, but can you tell me, is that completely correct, or did we create a few problems? The thing about context engineering is that when you make a mistake and you notice it, you fix it straight away. Otherwise, you just compound crap. I don't think I have a mistake. I know I mistakenly ran the conversation from the wrong folder, but I think it figured out where to do it and did it correctly. Good catch. Let me verify. Everything was done correctly, so it was all done into the POEM operating system. Okay. Good. So let's just in the conversation alone, please don't write a file. Can you create a really detailed log that I can copy and paste over to another conversation of everything that you did around this renumbering? So I'm doing a transfer prompt at the moment. Essentially, the work we have in this conversation, I want to take it to another conversation. Now later on, I'll have POEM have much more advanced prompts for this, and I'll use a skill to talk to POEM to do this, but I'm building POEM, so I can't do it right now. Okay. Okay, let's see what's happening here. It's taking a little while. Let's pop in over here, start a new Claude window here. We'll go Claude. Okay, it's done its work. And we'll just see. Let's go to the bottom. Just copy that and paste it in. At which point we can go and delete this thing. Cool. So this is just transferring the conversation to another location. I'll exit out of that and give us more space. Just jump into there and we'll just make the statement. This is for your information only. It's context. I want you to know that we did a whole lot of work on renumbering the epics. So we're just giving it context. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the librarian, which I can't spell. And once she loads, the goal here will be just to check that our knowledge repository, our second brain for this application, hasn't got any references that we need to be aware of. I need you to do some validation for me. You might need to suggest to me some commands to run. I've already also given you a whole lot of context about what we did. But here's the things that I need you to check. So what we did is that we inserted a new epic and we shifted all the epics down. You'll be able to look in the last commit to see what was done. What I now need you to do is work your magic with the topology, ontologies, and documentation, maybe the link checking systems, and figure out whether any of our planning documents, architecture documents, epic documents, story documents, or knowledge-driven development needs any updating. My suggestion is that you come up with a simple plan for me that you can run as background tasks and then present it to me for to check, and then we can just go and run it. So what I want to do is, because I added all this massive amount of documentation and we shifted an epic around, if there's any documents referencing the old locations, they'll all be wrong now. And that will cause us all sorts of grief in the future. Now, I have a librarian in the BMAD system, and what she'll do is she has a few different quality assurance systems. So the first thing she can do is she can create documentation, she can tag it, do the categorization, all that sort of stuff. Just give me one moment. Okay, sorry about that. I had to talk to someone. What have we got here? Excellent idea. Review, identify, search, topology, grep analysis, health report, task A, task B, task C. What would you execute, plan, modify, run a subset? Let's go with number 1. Kick that off. Might end up with a little bit of extra background noise because I've had to turn on a fan. This is something when I set up the agentic operating system, the new computer, I'll make sure I've got better AI sound suppression going on. So we're just going to let that go. Come back to here. Okay, based on the project, you have 5 agents. Okay, what should we work on next? We've got a skill that allows us to get data from incidents. I've forgotten what it's called. One of the data points has 100% data in it. We are also going to be working on the new incident workflow, so keep that in mind as well. I think Penny can switch workflows. This is where I'm documenting the changes I need. So here I'm going to say, in our documentation for, what are we calling the documentation for the poem system, where we've got the 1 prompt engineering challenges, 2 session goals, and 3 agent definitions. There's a tag or a label that I can tell you to work with them in the future. What I'd like you to do is document somewhere that the ability to change workflows should be available for Penny, the prompt engineer, but also for our 2 new agents, Oscar and Alex. They both need to be able to switch workflows using the same command structure. Session tracking, session files, work logs, session logs. Let's call these files the work logs, and let's move them all into a folder in the root called work logs. What we're moving, by the way, is over here. So here's poem. We've got these 3 files here. We're going to create a folder. It'll be under support signal, I guess. It'll be called the work logs. They get deleted very soon, but at the moment I just want to keep a clean system in place. There they are. They've all moved. That's great. Let's do a commit. Let's jump down here. It's doing a commit for me. I don't need to worry about it. That's cool. While that's happening then, let's do a git status. What else has changed here? Okay. Update everything. So it's done one around the work logs that we just modified, but all these red ones, the reason they're there is because I've done a recent installation of the Poem framework into this folder. It makes sense that that happened. I wonder if we do an npx Poem operating system install, whether we should be doing a commit at the same time. Probably not. That's not our idea. So let's just git push this. I'm going to go for a GHB. That'll take us over to a web view in a moment. Let's just jump over to our web view. Poem prompt support signal. We'll just jump out of there for a second. Actually, look at that, 6 views. No views. Well, it is my first live stream in a long time. So let's just come back to jump in there. We'll exit out. This is good. Poem is up to date. Look at the new incident workflow. I might just pop that window down below. Actually, not yet, because we've got a whole lot of stuff that we've got to go and review now. Okay, so we had Lisa the librarian go and check the health of the Poem application. Updated 5 files, contain old Epic references. No broken file links, that's good. Critical issue. This is going to take a little while. What a bugger. What do you like me to do? Execute batch 1. If I asked you to execute batch 1, can you do it in a background task for me? If you can, just say yes. Make sure that the results come back cleanly to this conversation so that we can make the appropriate update. So, critical files, batch 1. What is batch 1? Okay, these are all story files that were done in Epic 3, and they must have been referring to future epics, so they do need to be updated. I guess what we can do, that's the prompt system. I'm over in a VS Code at the moment. Just keeping an eye on what's green. Green is stuff that's been updated. And once this is finished, why didn't it kick off? So can you do that? Ah, look at that. It says do it. So it should do a general purpose task agent, I think. It's cooking at the moment. Okay, we'll let that go. Let's come back up to the other work. Now, yeah, see that? Executing batch 1 as a task right here in the background. Okay, Poem, 45 files. What was the question? Config. Oh, that was that config update everything. Didn't know you could do that. I just maximized a sub-terminal. Very interesting. But that wasn't what I was trying to do. I was trying to rename it. Let's edit sessions. I'm going to move away from iTerm. It's good, but I've been told that Ghost is better. So as I build the agentic operating system, that's what I'm going to do. What agents you got to... Okay. Incident. Okay. We already have a workflow design. That's what the new incident is. So we don't need Alex. What I think we need is either Oscar, though there is also another tester. What we want to do is work through each prompt one at a time with the data that we have for Sarah Williams, and we have the ability to create workflow data, I think it is. In fact, it'd be best if you told me what the output folder name usually is. And I kind of want to run the first prompt with the data from Sarah Williams, but I want to do it as if I was doing a new incident, and we'll just work through one step at a time. So for Sarah, what I'd like is the first 8 or 9 fields. So this is all the fields from the who the reporter is, who the participant is, the site locations, all that sort of stuff. And I want the 4 fields of the incident that happened, the event. So what we're looking at is an incident reporting system. So it's like I might be caring for Sarah. So, and then an incident happens and it's an event. So something was happening before it, during it, after it, and then what was post-incident support. These are all inputs, and that's what we're just trying to get right now. So what's happening is that a skill has kicked in. It's the support signal skill. It's reading the data about Sarah. It's actually reading 000. It's got a little simplified name that I can use here in the prompt engineering. And it's got the reporter name. Perfect. Okay. I was hoping it was going to give me the data for them. That's not the field. We want the narrative content. Yep, cool. And these are going to be our inputs into a workflow, an agentic workflow. In a little table, we'll split the table into 2 groupings. Can you just give me the fields and the values? When it comes to the event, you only need to give me the first 15, 20 words per event, or you could give me a summary. That's totally up to you. I'm going to get rid of that because I don't want it altering contents. Whatever it returns, I just want the first 20 words. Why is it deliberating? Now let me create the initial workflow data. Ah, it's actually creating workflow data. So that's interesting. I wonder what it's going to do. We'll just head over to Poem. So this is the workflow we're in. It's called New Incident. It's created workflow data. So you got Sarah. That just came in right now. We got, now this is all mock data. This is not real data. We fake generate our sample data. Okay, now this is where things get really interesting, because I got 2 ways of working with this. I could either look at the actual workflow structure. So at the moment, Pome only supports the creation of the prompts. It doesn't create the workflow structures. I've created an initial workflow file for you. Great, thank you. It contains me, her, company, site, incident. Okay. We'll let it format that. Hopefully that doesn't do it into a file. Whoa. Let's rewind. That's way too detailed. Start the conversation. I want to see 5 data fields in the first section and 4 in the second section. Cool. I used the rewind to go back and redo that. So supported accommodation, we got a date, time. We got an NDIS number. Cool. What agent, I think it's Victor, but it could be one of the others, allows us to query the Pome application for capabilities, features, and new stuff going forward? Whoever it is, can you run that agent in a background task and gather any information that we've documented either in the planning or the stories or anywhere at all around how workflows are meant to how we've planned for workflow structures. I'm assuming they're going to be some sort of YAML structure. I'm also going to assume that they don't currently support human in the loop, or yeah, we'll go with human in the loop. Now there's 2 sorts of human in the loop. There's either human in the loop responding to data, or there's just human in the loop entering in data. And why that's of interest to me right now is that the 2 sections, basic information and event narratives, need to be entered in by the human before any other part of the workflow which uses large language models can kick in. So that's why I want to understand what we've already defined about workflows, and if we were to create our first workflow structure, what it could potentially look like, which is these 2 sections, which are 2 steps with 9 fields all up, 5 and 4. But a human in the loop state control or mechanism would be needed. I also, as you're using the background tasks, you can use multiple background tasks if you want to. I want to understand where we're going to put this information. I believe we're going to update the schemas for the new incident, but it might be something else. It may also be that our current structures don't support exactly what I'm asking you to do, and that's okay too, because this is where we get to test in the real world the mechanisms. So go off in the background, do all this, come back to me with any questions or examples or updates that you think appropriate. So we'll just click that and we'll press enter on that. That should run at least one background agent. There was, I've got an agent who understands the system it's in, which is this conversation, which is prompt.supportsignal.com.au, but there's another agent, but it will also know the documentation in the Poem framework, which is in another directory on my computer. So it's run 3 different agents. So let's go and have a look at the other thing we were working through. Let's look at that. So we've had a few changes here. We had these 3 green files, but now what we've got is a modification to the triage guide and a modification to 2 stories. Cool. So let's just go and look at what that was about. So it was in here. So batch 1 was 5 critical files. They're the files that it just went and updated for me. That's cool. All critical files. The triage had 10 references. Taxonomy. Stories. Trying to get div. Okay, let's so that was batch 1, batch 2, do you suggest that we work on batch 2? Where are we looking? Get status. Okay. Can you commit? So I want to run batch number 2. This is just fixing up the renumbering of the epics in BMAD for the poem, the prompt orchestration and engineering method. So if I run a GHB, we'll just pop in over here, we go to the web. This is the poem framework that I'm building. It stands for prompt orchestration and engineering method. By the way, the version number doesn't look correct. I know we've updated it recently. Do we have a mechanism for updating the source of truth documents and any related documents? I think we might have created a command to do version number changes. Why did that not find? Testing. Look at that. We've lost our voice control mechanism. I hate that. Let's run. What's that going to take me to? Testing. Oh, okay. No, that's working. Cool. I'm not going to worry about that version number problem right now. I'm going to come up here. Proceed to batch 2. Small. Okay. Yes. We'll go. We'll do a git push. We'll run a web view for a second while that's kicking in. Run a refresh. This should change. It's just happened. Cool. Epic 8. I better check my live stream view. Epic 8 became 9. So just a few different changes coming through. This looks good. Let's jump back there. Okay, let's pop in to number 2. it's launched it in the background. So it's making the changes uh, to the references. So this is the librarian fixing up all my documentation links and references. This is the second batch. Let's see what this is doing. So this is wonderful. Comprehensive poem workflow, human in the loop. Message from WhatsApp. Let's go check that. You know what? Copy, copy, copy. Let's go to the CLAUDing lab. I've got a little community. Let's share that there. That's interesting. Okay, let's get back to work. Signal versus noise. Mate of mine wants me to work on signal. It's really hard when you're multitasking all the time to not get caught up by noise. I've launched 3 to investigate. Good news. Workflows are YAML based. Human in the loop is designed via checkpoint info type. Oscar handles execution with pause, resume, clear workflow structure. The workflow definition structure found. Waiting for the other to agent find schema locations second. Schemas input data. Let's go and have a look at these 2 values. Look at that. This is a looking at changes in the BMAD system. I'll come back to that in a moment. Let's go to here. So schemas it says. What are they? Incident basic info, incident narratives. New incident. I don't see him. Oh, it's a recommendation. Ah, cool. Cool, that is cool. We're going to get these 2 new things added. Are all for prompt outputs, that's right. No schema yet for import. Validation for it. This is awesome. Still waiting for Victor's capabilities to understand versus, right? Perfect. Now Victor has returned his work. Comprehensive report. Checkpoint types. This is the human in the loop stuff. 4.7, which is cool because that's near. I think I'm on 4.6. Checkpoint history gap, tracking, key gap, what you need, human, looks like, schemas, gather, decision function points. Option 1. Oh, that's cool. Should the... Conversational multi-turn. When we're working with workflows, geez, this is an interesting question. So when it gets used in the application, it should be JSON. When I give you information like this, it can also be JSON. But if I was just doing a new workflow or a new test, then conversational would feel okay. But also keep in mind that we've got another workflow that I haven't done any work with. It's called the new incidents UX. And we could also provide the data through form input, as you said. So today you have the JSON data available, but all three are actually important. Let's go option 1. Well, that's question 1. Let's look at what question 2 is. What's that? Q2, Q3, Q2. Okay. Workflow scope. Should the workflow include for now it should just be steps 1 to 2 because this is a learning process that we're going through. We'll be building on it over time as we go over it. One of the things that's really important is if we can put comments into any data, we should. Don't know whether you can do comments in JSON. I think you can do it in YAML. But all the different decisions that we take and the reasoning, all that semantic metadata that you hear me talking about in the conversation, be really lovely if it got embedded in line into any of our data files. So that when we do go to build these agents and their systems correctly, we've got really good examples, not just from the data point of view, but from the inline commenting point of view. And if you can't put it into the data itself, create an extra little notes markdown document in the folder where the new incident is. That's just keeping track of all of this. Design the workflow with Alex. Tests. Okay, let's design the workflow with Alex. Again, we're doing it step by step, so we're only on steps 1 and 2 at the moment. Let's see what that does. While that's going off and doing its thing, let's just see where we got with the moving the epics in BMAD. Changes by file. Next steps. It's complete. 40 story files with need individual review and maybe historical. 8 navigation index files. Okay. do a commit. You don't have the ability to see what I'm looking at, which sucks. Had a decision file change. We got some planning document changes. Oh, there's a problem. I had my microphone off. Dipshit. Wonder how long I was talking without you guys hearing. We'll go back to here. This file should not have been an issue with the commit. It shouldn't have even been available. I thought dev workspace was get ignored. Deal with that later. Let's see what's going on. Can that pre-commit hook remove that concept? Like, why is that concept there? I don't understand. Having a lot of trouble with this dev workspace concept that I built in. I'm going to remove it, I think. What was the decision to have the unit test in the pre-commit hook anyway? Also, the thing that's causing the issue, can we look at that independently and come up with a more robust test? It's really difficult to test the poem framework because it's not a coding framework, it's a prompt engineering framework, and the problem with prompt engineering is it's not explicit, so traditional unit testing concepts are challenging, and it's debatable whether they should be used at all, but I think that's what I'm hitting right now. I think I need to rethink, and this part of the poem experience is rethink the way testing with prompt engineering works. So we're trying to figure out why it did it. Now let's look at the failing test. It's looking at that, and then what we want to do is we want to come back to this area. It's just running a bit slow. Let's see what that's... No, it's finished. Okay. Okay. Lots commence. Move it to CI/CD. Should I create? Remove the npm run test unit. Make sure you look around this problem for the reasons to have this, the reasons not to have it, and document it somewhere in the decisions folder. So this is something that you want to use the librarian for. And it needs to be a decision because we need to revisit this in the future. For the failing test, is your recommendation number 1 or number 2? I want you to execute on both concepts, but that's the information I want you to take with it. So we got a unit test that's flaky. We can fix it by setting up the unit test before code. We can also make the actual execution code a bit more defensive in that it can go, you don't have a folder, let's go and make the folder ahead of time. That has its own drawbacks and side effects, but I think that is something I want to do. As for the pre-commit hook, I know I put it in there for a reason, but we didn't document the reason. That's why we're having struggles now. So I'm making sure that the librarian mentions the reason for us. We'll just pop in over here. For for failing tests. Option 2, remove. Yes, that all seemed fine for me. So this is a recursive make directory. If it does not exist, is going to go into the data service save command. Let's just go have a look at a folder over here. Now, once we've done this, we've got more things that we've got to do, but I've got to be careful of context. Like, have we used it all up? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to the initial stuff we were working on, explore the topology. What's the time? 10:20. Paste it in. Let's see. Do we have enough context to continue, or should we hand over to another conversation? I've listed below everything we were working on. I think we've gone through batch 1 and 2. I'm not sure how much more we've got to do. I think batch 3 is quite long. What would be your handover protocol? That's looking good. Jump back up here for a sec. I see we're in production mode. Design workflow YAML doesn't exist. This is part of a real-world testing mention. Since the workflow template, I'll conduct the design interview directly. Let me guide you through creating steps 1 to 2 of the workflow. I've reviewed your design notes and understand the context. Let me ask some questions. What should we name the YAML workflow? We're going to call it new incident YAML. That's what we're going to call it. What's next? I like that. What's this? Let's go with that. Option A, data strategy. Single object with 5 fields, single object with 4 fields. We'll go with this grouping. Let's go down. Well, let's come back to this problem. I don't want to forget. Medium priority. Remaining work optional from the original validation we still have. Okay, so this is going to give us a plan of action to finish off, which is the section it's talking about right here. Well, we can't do it in this conversation, but it's So we need some sort of state, we'll need a handover, we'll need to create a new conversation. Okay, apparently we got enough room. Let's just confirm that that's true. We'll run a context command. And we'll just scroll up a bit. Yeah, that looks okay. Let's just do a rewind. Get rid of the context command. And option 1. Let's do 3. Let's do 2 and then 3. The problem we'll have if we don't do the handover now is that we'll, if we run out of context, it starts compacting. It's just a pain in the ass. So we'll do our handover for the next conversation. We do have to remember to make sure the handover knows how to delete itself when it's finished. We want to make sure that the handover doesn't pollute our context beyond what we're doing. That's why I wanted it to delete itself. Then we'll just work through 10 to 20 files right now. But we are jumping and changing. So this conversation is all about moving an epic in BMAD. This conversation right here is all about working on the poem system. So let's see where we're at. We've answered 2 of the questions, and number 3, data strategy. We've answered that. That's a flat structure. Number 4, validation requirements. All files required pattern. This is awesome. What we'll do, I love this, validation requirements. Let's paste it in and we'll answer a couple of them. Keep in mind that NDIS and date time are relaxed validation concepts from our point of view. The main application will have these validations. We don't have to worry about it. So let's say no from a validation point of view for NDIS and date time. Minimum length per narrative is not required in the workflow. And we got the output format. We go with both. Let that kick in. Let's go look at the other conversation. Just saying 2. What's going on? This is that Q&A session. Okay. Let's go look at this conversation. Let's look at the Git status. Let's do a Git push. Well, let's do a GHB. Guys are looking at the wrong window. Let's look at that. Okay. Let's come back to here. Epic renumbering. Let's look at our context. We've still got plenty. If anyone knows, there should be a way of changing the status line to, let's just look into that. Status. Show the status. Well, let's just do that first. Config. I think I want verbose output. Let's go over here. JB. Claude. Oh, why am I only on 29? Let's do a release notes. I don't think I'm on the right version of Claude Code. Can you look in the Anthropic second brain? I think we got some troubleshooting documentation on upgrading Claude. What version should we be on today? I'm currently seeing 2.1.29. Let that go. Let's come back over here. And what was I doing? Do status, not important. Epic, it is. Are you sure? I thought there were 40 files that we had to go through in batch number 3. Be really difficult for me to run 3 projects at the same time with the current setup, only because it's so human in the loop at the moment. But that's one of the reasons why I want to have Claude Bot, OpenClaw in, so that I can isolate it to a new machine and just know that when I'm working on that machine where things are at. Let's just go and have a look at what it said. but many are. Let's just see what it's doing. It's still working through that. Not much I can do while it's doing that. Oh, no, it just finished. You're right. Option A. Let's see what it's doing. Let's come back to the poem system. I've designed a new incident YAML with extensive inline comments. This is perfect. What was created was a gather basic info, gather narratives, an output strategy for both the state and the data, inline comments, I got a question for you. If we create the input schemas, that's a simple thing. Let's do that, but I want you to also consider I've forgotten the name of my architect, Alex or something, I'm not sure. But our workflow architect or creator, whatever he's called, he should be doing it normally. So can we make sure that we got documentation about what we've done at the end of this session related to him? Let's just have a look at what's going on with the BMAD stuff. Still going, it's being done in a background agent. Let's come back up here. So new incident schemas, input data. Let's got some other work I got to do right now. We're hosting an Anthropic meetup group. It's sponsored by Anthropic actually. It's this Saturday in Chiang Mai. It will be our second one. Our first one had about 150 people at it. This new one should be pretty good as well. Let's see what that is. We're just doing some admin on the side. I'm not showing you that screen just in case there's something I shouldn't be showing. I don't think there is, but delete that email. Delete that spam. That's cool. That's interesting. Delivery trainer. That's cool. Commonwealth. That's remove. GitHub. Dependabot alert. Let's let that go. Okay. Just, I wonder if I should be promoting this Anthropic event in the Loom. Let's just pop this over here. So we're in the live stream at the moment. If you guys are in Chiang Mai, come over to Luma, Luma, and look for Claude Chiang Mai. That's what we're looking at, Claude Code Meetup. Is there any details about it? It's on the 7th of February. Nick and Ian from Kubernetes are running this. Yeah, it should be a good event. There's some really smart cookies in the Claude community going to be there. Let's just get out of that. Let's get out of that. Let's jump over to that. Let's check where we're at. Okay, number 2. There's a lot of stuff going on down here. 59 corrections. Whole lot of files. Great. I think my Epic 5 has been inserted. So current Epic 5 through 9 have all been shifted to Epic 6 through 10. And we now have a new one called Epic 5, and we've had a whole lot of different corrections. I might just personally go and have a look at the repository for a second. Things looking clean. I noticed that the architecture MD file changed and potentially the PRD MD file changed. I'm just wondering if you understand that those two files also have sharded variants in the architecture folder and the PRD folder. Was there anything in there that we needed to keep congruent and aligned? Also, with Lisa, what would be the next command you think I should run? So kick that off. We'll jump back up to what we're doing with Pome. Sorry it's backwards and forwards between two projects, but that's the reality of my daily work. I hate capitalized file names. Claude loves it, even when you tell it not to do it. Better go and have a look at where those files have been put. We can have a look at them in VS Code. Design notes and session notes. They're living with the system, so that's okay. Input data. You know what it's done? Input data. Okay. So this is, maybe it's okay, but it's also wrong what it's done here, because we have a mock data area, and the sort of data I'm looking at is what I would call mock data. The session reviewer could create input schemas as part of the workflow design. Current state doesn't mention this capability. Alex input schemas for human data entry. Penny for output. Ready for testing. Okay. Let's just unpack a couple of things you said there. The first one is the Claude commands doesn't formalize it. So we should make an update to that. But are you trying to tell me that Alex's definition does formalize it? Can you just point me to the file and line number to look at? The other thing that I think we're missing here is that you've gone and created input data under the schemas. And I'm trying to think of what that means from the mock data point of view. So schemas are meant to be the definitions of how data is shaped, and you've gone and created input data, which is data in a shape, not definition of data shape. And this causes us two separate problems. The first problem is that it doesn't give us any ability to support multiple input data streams. The second is that it has absolutely nothing to do with the schema. It's data, it's not the shape of data. And so what I think should have happened is that mot data should have been the recipient of those two files. And the fact that those two files sit within a particular data example, they probably also should have been a subfolder under the mot data representing the data example. Let's just run that, see what it does. Let's go down and look at what we're doing with BMAD. So when you're using BMAD and you have, and this is BMAD 4, could be different in BMAD 6. You have a PRD and you have the broken down shards, the cut up of the PRD. Same thing with the architecture document. I just told it to go and check that, and it's worked out that there were some problems. Don't run the update PRD. Don't run the update PRD shards because I'm not 100% sure that the PRD and the shards are in alignment. If there's any manual fixes there that you can see, then do it. Then what I want you to do is validate the topology using Lisa. Make sure you load Lisa properly. Looks like I'm doing what you are suggesting anyway. You should have read that section down the bottom. I always forget that. You read those things and you start telling it what to do and then realise that it's already got a plan. Okay. Got a whole lot of communication coming in at me. Great, let's just look at something else while we're doing it. Do I have the ability to view these? Okay, we'll come back to here. Okay, let's come back to what's going on. We're all healthy. That's what I want to see. I think we can close this down. I'll just run one more and we'll pop in up here. Alex's focus on workflow design but doesn't mention schema creation. That's what I actually created. Okay. They define structure, not actual data. Is because it sounds like data, not schema. Okay, that was my confusion too in reading it. No subfolder, just basic. Intake. Go with the explicit. Go with. And when you look at the inputs so far, 0, 0, 0 and 0, 0, 1, they represent data that got extracted out of the database. What we need is a 0, 0, 2, which is Sarah Williams. We might even call it 0, 0, 2 dash Sarah Williams dash simple. And it I better read what I'm about to tell it to do. Reference data sequence JSON. Copy path. Let's go in here. Mop data, we got incidents. This folder has incidents that we've taken from the database. So let's go with this folder instead. Did I miss anything? I probably pressed enter too quickly. Oh, that looks good. Let's go look at this folder. Copy. Where did this folder come from? Go look at the commit log. There's 3 subfolders under it. I want to try and determine the rationale, the reasoning, or whether it was generated automatically using the Poem framework. I just need more clarity around this. Let's pop over and see what it's doing. So we have incidents in the mock data system, which are coming from the database, and maybe the relationships are wrong. Maybe we shouldn't be doing mock data at this level. Maybe it should be up at the Poem level. And now we've created this custom one, and we've got Sarah Williams. So let's have a look at what we got. Simple test. Oh, they're just some comments. So we got basic info, and we got narratives. And what's this metadata doing? Based on purpose. This is cool. We should be able to test running it through a workflow. So we get the before event, after event, during event, and end of the event. That's the after event. Big problem I have with the Poem framework is that the complexity, it may not make it a worthy product. This is just me playing around with stuff. So that's schemas. Go down new, insert YAML. I've made a mistake. It's the problem about switching between projects. You forget what you were doing. So that wasn't needed. So let's go and delete that. Delete that. Let's. Oh, hold on. What's changed in there? Gone. I feel like everything you just did was mostly correct, except what I told you to do with the incidents custom. Mainly because it looks like we already had something called workflow data that would have been more useful. I guess what I'm noticing is that the mock data is reference data that we can use, and workflow data is data we actually did use in a workflow. And I can already see now that we have 2 files. See what I'm doing. Let's pop in over here. We'll pop in there. And the second file is probably more appropriate than the first file. The only thing that's potentially going to be confusing about workflow data is the prefix of 000, because if I ask for data as 000, there'll be confusion between the incident capture skill and the use of it here. So I might just go to a different convention on this file. We should document the differences between files in the mock data and files in the workflow data. We should document what makes them different, why they have different prefixing. This can go into the design notes or the session notes, your call. I also feel that the data in workflow data the shape of it, it's so much more different. Let's go have a look at it. This is all fake data, but it's still very useful. Is a better direction to go than the data we did in the custom data area. Let's come back to this question. But let's migrate the custom incident data over to this new system into this particular file. And only bring over the data that has been captured so far. So concepts like the question and answer data can't be available for us just yet. Let's see what it does. It's 11 o'clock. We've got a meeting in 55 minutes. Updating our design notes. This is going to be useful when we work on Epic 5 in the Poem framework. Let's just see where we got to with Epic 5 stuff. Did a health report. It's all good. Let's exit out of here. Not needed anymore. Git status, git push, exit. What's this? Remind me of the nature of this conversation. Oh, we exited out of it anyway. Let's just get out of it. Okay, what's... Do you know about this document? Was the document we created here? In BMAD, or as with any context engineering system, you're not trying to deal with the spaghetti code, you're trying to deal with spaghetti documentation. Yes, I know about this document. What is the document about is probably a bigger issue. Does it look like it has useful information? And yes, if there are epic name changes, please do that, but does it represent useful information? And more importantly, how does it fit in with our issue tracking, which is part of the system? Because it doesn't feel like it feels like an outlier file, but I'm not sure. Okay, let's head over here. See what's going on. Schemas. So this, let's look at these two files. This is really important, these ones. Pop into VS Code. So this is what's been added. We already had a lot of workflow data files, but we got two new ones. Let's clear our system and look at them. So the first one, basic information capture, reporter name, participant, NDIS, event date, and location. Cool. So this is the schema. Have we got concepts like required? No. Only from the point of view that there's a minimum length. Okay. Let's look at the narrative. There should be 4. That should be 5. There should be 4. Ah, look at that. We got a required. Okay, that's cool. Now let's go and have a look at Sarah Williams, who is complex. and Sarah Williams, who is basic. And we'll just ask a couple of questions of our data. Come over here. The data in this user represents the step level schema information. I've listed 2 of them. Just make sure, firstly, that that is true. The data in is laid out differently to A01. This is a problem, but I don't know how to address it. Because we're mixing 2 concepts here. We've got our input data, but our input data may be richer than what's required. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the workflow data also combines data that's added on later, because the workflow data represents data as it flows through the workflow. What I want you to do is unpack those 2 statements and ask me some Q&A stuff about where you think we should go. Come up with a list of questions. Use the Q&A tool or the ask tool to ask me appropriate questions around these 2 concepts. My problem is mismatches and complexity and how to break stuff up when we don't actually have standard database workflow relationships going on. Everything's being done in JSON and large language models, so this is painful. There also may be a missing relationship concept, which we've talked about in the workflow YAML. I think it's called new incident YAML. We might also want to bring that file in and compare it against what we're doing. Let's just pop down to whatever we're doing here. Labeled context. Duplicate. How does it fit? Is it yes? Why it feels wrong? Delete it. Radical but clean, maybe. I think it's option C we want to, 3 we want to do. Let's go with option 3. Then what we'll do, once it's done that, we'll kick in the librarian to look at it. Now the other thing has kicked in, so let's just jump up there. I think I need to bring it up. Cool. Okay, I should. Ah. Immutable step files, that's interesting. What's your point of view on this? I hadn't thought of the immutable step files. That sounds useful, especially because theoretically you could run a workflow you could go back in time with a workflow and run it from different points in time. See what it comes up with. Let's see how the other conversation is running. We've added this file. Can you make sure the topology and indexing is correct on this file? Come back to that in a moment. Accumulating file with immutable snapshots. Is this a time travel? Oh, that looks really cool. I like what you said. The only thing I don't like about what you've got is that I'd almost want A01 to be a folder and then Sarah Williams to be the first file inside of it. And then we can do snapshots as A01-01 or -02 or -03. Let's not have any labeling of what they mean. If there was labeling of what they mean, that could be inside of the data. I think this is going to be too complex. I think what I'm doing is stupid. I think what I want to do is rewind. It's going to go through those questions again, isn't it? Didn't know that would happen. Let's come back to here. Just want to make sure that the topology and indexing of that new file is up to date, then we can close this one off. Let's come back here. Who was sending me a message? Okay, it's just updating. Oh, can't see. It's just updating our documentation here, which is good. Let's come back to this Q&A again. So, when starting a workflow, should we transform it to match the workflows? This is not doing what I wanted. I preferred the previous Q&A session. I didn't realise when I did a refine that I was going to get a new set of Q&A questions. Let it just run again, see what it comes up with. Let's come back to here. So I want that approach. Yes, I do. That one. Adds top level keys. Actually, oh, that's interesting. Go with number one. Submit. Let's go down here. Great. Let's. Has it been committed? No. See what this one is up to. It's 11:30. Pure contains minimal, includes metadata. Okay, I think we're going to end it there. Oh, what do we got? We got options here. key, option, restructure. We restructure option O. Oh, that's interesting. We'll say yes to that. Okay. How are we going down here? Push. Oh, let's not push from there. GS. Git push. GS. Okay. Good. Let's go back to there. We'll restructure it, and I will end the live stream there, I think. So what have we been doing? We've been working through the poem, the prompt orchestration and engineering method. We've added in a new epic, and we've shifted all the epics down, and it's so that we can add 2 new agents. Then we've been testing the poem framework in anger, meaning like you use it and you find that it sucks, it's painful, so you have to shift stuff around, but we're documenting as we go, and hopefully those documentation will feed back into the poem application, and we can fix a lot of problems in Epic 5. The interesting thing about the prompt orchestration and engineering method is that it's based on the BMAD method, and it's really challenging. It's a really hard project to do because it's not explicit and you don't have database relationship systems going on. So I don't know whether it'll stand the test of time as a project or whether it'll just be a failed experiment. It's a long experiment. I know a lot of good stuff will come out of it, so that's what's important to me. Anyway, I'm Happy Dave. I think that's 2.5 hours. I think we'll end the live stream there. One of the things to know is that I do have a YouTube channel called Happy Dave. You can go and find it here. I also have another YouTube channel called AITLDR. We're about to do a video on ring motion. Look at that. It's just come out 42 minutes ago. I personally have done some videos on ring motion. I'll do some more later on. Don't know where they are. They're in there somewhere. So come and check out those channels, and otherwise have a good day, and I'll continue this live streaming on a daily basis. Just so you know where we're at, we are at the CLAUDing lab. So we'll just pop into CLAUDing lab, and it's one of my old channels that I'm just reactivating for these live streams. Cool. I'm Happy Dave. See you in the next stream.